Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transportation Law Lecture 3 on Diligence Required of Common Carriers. The basic obligations of the carrier are as follows: 1. To accept passengers and goods without discrimination. 2. To seasonably deliver the goods or bring the passenger to the destination. 3. To deliver the goods or bring the passenger to the proper place or destination. 4. To deliver the goods to the proper person. And 5. To exercise extraordinary diligence in the performance of its duties. The rationale behind extraordinary diligence is that a contract of carriage is structured in such a way that passengers or shippers surrender total control over their persons or goods to common carriers, fully trusting that the latter will safely and timely deliver them to their destination. In the light of this inherently inequitable dynamics, and the potential harm that might befall passengers or shippers if common carriers exercise less than extraordinary diligence, the law is constrained to intervene and impose sanctions on common carriers for the parties to achieve allocative efficiency. Extraordinary diligence in the carriage of passengers means that the common carriers have the obligation to carry passengers safely as far as human care and foresight can provide, using the utmost diligence of very cautious persons with due regard for all the circumstances. While extraordinary diligence in the carriage of goods means that it requires common carriers to know and to follow the required precaution for avoiding damage to or destruction of the goods entrusted to it for safe carriage and delivery. It requires common carriers to render service with the greatest skill and foresight, and to use all the reasonable means to ascertain the nature and characteristics of goods tendered for shipment, and to exercise due care in the handling and stowage, including such methods as their nature requires. The court need not make an express finding of fault or negligence of common carriers. The presumption of negligence arises as long as there is evidence showing that 1. There exists a contract between the passenger or the shipper and the common carrier, and 2. That the loss, deterioration, injury, or death took place during the existence of the contract. Once the above requisites are established, the burden shifts to the common carrier to prove its observance of extraordinary diligence. In one case, the court held that mere proof of delivery of the goods in good order to a common carrier and their arrival in bad order at their destination, or failure to transport the passengers safely, constitutes a prima facie case of negligence against the carrier. Thus, the carrier is liable even if nobody can establish the cause of the loss. In another case, the court held that the presumption of negligence arises from the fact that the checked-in luggage of the passenger was not found upon arrival at his or her destination and was not returned to the passenger until about 2 years later. Also, in another case, this extraordinary liability, the court held, lasts from the time the goods are placed in the possession of the carrier until they are delivered to the consignee or to the person who has the right to receive them. In one case, the presumption of negligence was rebutted by the common carrier when it was established that the accident was solely caused by the negligence of the other vehicle that was involved in the collision. The Supreme Court held that the driver of the bus had every right to expect that the trailer truck, coming from the opposite direction, would stay on its proper lane. He was not expected to know that the trailer truck had lost its brakes. In another case, the court held that nevertheless, there is no presumption of bad faith, even if there is presumption of negligence. Bad faith should be established by clear and convincing evidence. There is also no presumption that the negligence that was committed by the carrier is gross negligence. There must be evidence that the same negligence is so gross that it amounts to bad faith. So that's it for today's lecture. Thank you so much for listening.